35 years ago, Iran-backed terrorists drove a truck bomb into Marine barracks in Beirut, killing 241 U.S. service members. 22 of them were Marines. It was the deadliest day for the Corps since World War II. Now, family of those killed joined President Trump at the White House in October. They won a landmark 2007 civil suit in U.S. court, including a $2.65 billion payout. But Iran, till this day, refuses to pay up. The family's case is now back before the U.S. Supreme Court. Here with us to break this all down is General James Jones, former Commandant of the Marine Corps. He now runs Jones Group International and is taking up, I'd say, sir, where justice has sort of left these families behind. I mean, this is one of the more surreal stories out there, I would say. How is it that these families have not yet recouped a payment that U.S. courts have deemed they're owed from Iran?
This is a 10-year battle that these families have fought. 10 years of struggle through the court system with not too much help from the administration, the previous administration. But it has now come to, the chickens have come home to roost. It is now before the Supreme Court in an unbelievable, ironic twist. It's Iran versus the Beruit families. And I want to stress that 241 people lost their lives that day, 220 Marines, 18 sailors, and 3 soldiers, to be precise.
I can only imagine a tremendous psychological, emotional blight on the history of warfare for the Marines, but for U.S. service members around the world.
It was devastating. It was Iran-backed, and Iran continues today to be the biggest purveyor of terrorism in the world. Their behavior is unchanged. And we're now at the inflection point where the Supreme Court has tasked the Solicitor General to check with the administration to see what the administration wants to do about this. And we're extremely grateful to the President for having held the 35th reunion, if you will, of the families of
President
those
Trump
who lost
held that.
President
we saw a photo
right,
at the White
just
House
recently, and has made some very helpful statements publicly, as have key senators. Secretary Mattis has been very supportive as well. So this is something that the Supreme Court is, when it gets the input from the Solicitor General, will either decide to return $1.67 billion to the Central Bank of Iran or to the families. And that money, by the way, is being held in a Swiss bank right now. And the Swiss bank has said, yes, we have that money, and we're not going to do anything with it till the Supreme Court rules.
So the families of fallen, murdered U.S. Marines versus the government of Iran, as I said, one of the more surreal stories that's going on right now.
I couldn't believe it when I heard it. I said, I did a lot of due diligence, but it is, in fact, this is, in fact, as strange as it may seem, Iran versus the Beirut families in the Supreme Court of the United States.
General, when I was working for you at the National Security Council, one of the things you like to impress upon everybody was just how involved the government of Iran was in sort of supplying, supporting terrorist proxy organizations around the world. Do you think that this is still going on today? Is the situation as bad now as it was, 8 years ago when you were in office?
It might be a little worse, actually. The government of Iran really controls, in addition to Tehran, Damascus, Sana'a in Yemen, and certainly influences Iraq. So it's got multiple controls over those 4 countries, or those 4 cities, and the countries themselves. They are the principal backer of what's going on in Yemen today, and so it hasn't changed the stripes. We had the nuclear deal, but there's been no change in the behavior of the government.
No change, sir. And as you say, there's sort of a unique opportunity here for the Trump administration to sort of weigh its hand, put its thumb on the scale, and do the right thing.
This is an opportunity for the administration to really anchor down its policy with regard to Iran and get some visibility on this. I mean, this is really possibly a great story, but it has to end the right way.
The right way. Well, General, thanks so much for your time on this Sunday. We will definitely have you back soon.
My pleasure. Thank you, Jillian.